Hi everyone, so EA came out with some pretty interesting game day cards in Hockey Ultimate Team this past week. Every weekend they have released some game day cards that will go up 1 overall based on whoever wins that particular matchup between the two players. However, this week's is quite different, where all 8 of these players will go up +1 overall for every single hit they have in a game. And at first glance, because they're 82 overalls, they were often ignored simply because game day cards this year really haven't had much value at all. But I did some digging, ran the numbers, but I think there might be some pretty interesting investments here. So let's discuss. Now, you can acquire these cards in 2 ways. One, you can buy them in the auction house or get them in packs, or you can make them via the captain set. So once you're inside the captain sets, go over to game day, and you will see a set for every single one of the 8 game day players that will go up in value based on hit. You can see that I've made some already, and more on that in just a little bit. Now, to make these cards, you've got to make HUT24 collectibles, and in the sets right now, what you're looking for are cards that are going for under 4,000 per collectible. So, for example, the best value right now, and again, this will change the second this video comes out, but just again, for reference, you're looking at 4,000 and below is your best option. Because you get 3 for an 85 overall, you're looking at about 12,000 coins is what you want to aim for and below. On top of that, the 85s will also give you a base pack back, meaning that you get an additional little bit of value there as well. Again, this will fluctuate at all times of the day and after this video, so just do the math on the 83s, the 84s, and the 85s. So we're looking at 4,000 coins per collectible and below, and again, if you can get lower than that, obviously you're laughing. You will need to do it 3 times, meaning that 12,000 coins per each of these cards is what you're aiming for. Now, for them to return value, these cards would have to at least get 3 hits to give you an 85. Now, some of these players, that's an extremely safe bet. Obviously, they could get 0, but what you're looking for is the Dakota Joshua 8-hit game that just happened 3 nights ago in Vancouver. If that happens, you've just 10 extra value. So if these cards only need to get 3 hits to essentially have you break even, anything more than that is just gravy and you've gotten your investment back. Something that I did personally, because I am done with upgrading ultimate icons and I don't need any team builders, my 82 overall cards that I can't trade, that are untradeable, I simply put them into this set, used a bunch of them to have some skin in the game for these game day cards, because it is in the realm of possibility that I don't know if EA really planned for, that some of these cards could get a ton of hits and you're looking like an 89, 90 overall card. Now, I want you to remember that when it comes to these cards and when they increase in overall, like all other cards, skating will only go up by 0.5, so you need to account for that. And essentially that means that any of these cards are really not going to jump up massively in terms of skating, so you're not going to be looking at these as overpowered usable cards. These are essentially going to be, hey, just in case, I might end up with an 89 and my investment was 12,000 coins. That's what you're looking for. So someone like Stefan Noesen, I did not make. I was actually able to pack him, but he's only averaging like 1 or 2 hits a game. So while he could pop off, sure, more than likely you're looking at kind of a loss of investment here. So Noesen is not one that I would look to invest in. Now, Dakota Joshua, in my opinion, one of the safest. Not only is he 6'3", 206 with great size and has the potential chance to be somewhat usable, like I mentioned, he just had an 8-hit game, which would have made him a 90 overall, which is wild to me. But in his last 7, he's only had 2 games where he's had under 3 hits, which is, again, the kind of break-even point. So definitely one that I would recommend making if you are looking to take the gamble on this event. On to Connor Clifton. He's actually got pretty good skating at 85 speed, 86 acceleration, but again, another player that only averages like 1 or 2 hits recently. On top of that, there's so many good smaller defensemen that even if he were to get like 7 hits, he still wouldn't be among the best. So again, not a great investment in my opinion. Another great one in my opinion would be the 82 Jeremy Lauzon from the Nashville Predators. In his last 8 games, he's only had 1 game in which he did not have 3 hits, and he had 2 games where he didn't have at least 4. He's had multiple 5 and 6 hit games. This is probably the safest one. And with 84 speed, if he has a 6-7 hit night, he might actually be usable as well. Defensive defenseman is quite interesting because that jacks up his defensive awareness and body checking. All of his other stats will go up by +1 overall. It'll be interesting to see what they do with abilities if they add any to these players. But again, you're looking for a return on investment. So if you're looking at, hey, it's going to cost me 12,000 coins to get this card in value, odds are you're going to get an 85 or 86, maybe even 87 overall player. Artem Zub from the Ottawa Senators is probably the one that looks like it has the best potential in terms of in-game performance. He's already got 85 speed and acceleration, and he's 6'2", 200. The issue is that he just doesn't average a lot of hits. In his last 10 games, he's really only averaged 1 or 2 a game. So I personally did not make Zoom. Klim Kostin is another interesting one because he is 6'3", 215, and with a significant increase to his attributes, could be nasty in HUT. Issue is, in his last 8 games, he's never had more than 2 hits. However, 9 games ago, he had 8, which would make this card wild. But again, just going off of odds and recent performance, this is one I avoided. Jake McCabe from the Leafs is another strong candidate for me. He did go a bit of a stretch here in the last 8 games where he didn't get any hits. However, in his last 4, he's gone 1-7-4-7. So again, did return from injury. Maybe there was a little bit of tentativeness. Not really anymore. He plays really aggressive for the Leafs. So I went ahead and made Jake McCabe. Josh Anderson is an interesting one. Again, much like some of the other cards, 6'3", 221, such good size. Has gone a couple games without any hits. However, in the prior 8 games to that, he had multiple 5 and 4 hit games in that stretch, which would again make him very interesting. So just for transparency's sake, the 3 that I did make was Jake McCabe, Dakota Joshua, and Jeremy Lozon. I think those are the safest bets. You could buy them tradable, but beware that a lot of people will have that same mentality. And when instances like this come up where the card isn't necessarily going to be amazing in game, you're just chasing the overall, a lot of people have this mentality, and because they're buying them not to use them but to try and sell them, they'll all flood back onto the market, and you really won't make that many coins. In some aspects, you're gambling because you're paying a higher price for these tradable versions. If you have a lot of fodder, again, I kind of went over it, you really just need to have them get 3 hits in a game to essentially break even. So I thought that the risk was pretty low and the potential might be a pretty fun reward. So let me know what you think in the comments section down below. I personally love this change to the game day cards. I would love to see one for block shots or shots on goal, things like that. It would make it far more interesting. Last year we had a full fantasy card where they got points towards their overall based on everything in that matchup, which is something I'd probably like to see them go back to. But at least this is pretty simple, and I think that there are some unique things to take advantage of. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.